whatever your ethnicity may be, you can dream beyond your predicament. You can imagine beyond your predicament. You can hope beyond your predicament. All of us have some predicament, some life's challenge, some fear we choose not to share. Do we surrender to our fears? Do we retreat because of them, or do we go forward by our hopes and dream and not backwards by our fears? John, in that predicament, chose to dream of a new heaven and a new earth beyond his predicament. We hear a lot about Dr. King's dream in Washington in 1963. To put it in context, it was not so much the dream that was the theme of that address. African Americans have been in slavery for 246 years, legal slavery. We were bought and sold as stock on the exchange. We were the original stock on the stock exchange. We were the original base of international trade, African slave trade. After 246 years, it was ruled to be illegal. Between Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation and the 13th Amendment, it was ruled to be illegal. But then while the law changed, the culture did not change, and therefore there was a kickback, a reaction to that noble effort to abolish slavery. And so for another 100 years, the day Dr. King gave that speech in Washington, from Florida, if you look at the map, across to Texas, up to Maryland, blacks and Latinos couldn't use a single public toilet lest we be arrested. We couldn't go to the movie theater in the front door. Our money was counterfeited. We could not buy ice cream at the ice cream store at Howard Johnson. We could not rent a room at the Holiday Inn. Black soldiers, American soldiers with flags on it. Dr. King finished high school at 15. His first debate at age 14 was on the U.S. Constitution at 14. He finished college at 19. He got a seminary degree at 22. His PhD at 26. He was a global leader. When young people come alive and begin to dream and choose hope over dope and life over death and futures over funerals, you have this awesome power to determine the course of our world. The world you inherit is like putty. You can determine the face you put on your world. The more I've walked the streets of the nations of this region in the last few days, it's more apparent to me than ever before that in this global world, we've been blessed to have President Barack Hussein Obama as our president, but an inspiration beyond our boundaries to the world. He is a young man born of an African father and a white American mother. That combination would have invited lynching in many parts of our country 45 years ago. And that was embraced. Raised in his formative years in Indonesia, in Southeast Asia. He went to school like this, where he was able to go to school with people who were Islamic or Buddhist or Christian or Jew, as the case may have been. So he developed a comfort zone in multiracial, multicultural, multireligious settings. He did not see Islamists in stereotypical terms, or Jews, or whites or blacks, as the case may have been. He learned in his formative years to see people. He went to Hawaii and spent time there. And so he has this global vision. Many leaders see the world through a keyhole, not through a door. In that keyhole, they can only get one race, one group in their eye, but those who have the bigger vision can make room for all of us under one big tent. And maybe a key into his genius is being developed in an environment that made room for all people. Now we've globalized technology. Our technology cannot outdistance our sense of morality, our sense of justice. What does it matter the scripture raises if we gain the world and lose our souls? Suppose we can text messages around the world in an instant. Or we can use YouTube or some magical technological formula for an instant, and then will not feed the hungry, or clothe the naked, or make room for all of the people to grow and develop. I just met with your Prime Minister a few moments ago before coming here. As far as your real agenda for the people, see, we really want to get cash for the elderly and education for all of the children. If we can have stability and export import, we can grow in that direction. I appeal to him, let that message, cash for the elderly, say our character, repeat, our character is measured by how we treat the poor in the pit of life. Our character is measured by how we treat the poor in the pit of life, by how we treat the young in the morning of life, by how we treat the elderly in the sunset of life. Our character is measured by how we treat the young in the morning of life, by how we treat the poor in the pit of life, by how we treat the elderly in the sunset of our lives. Our religions may be different. Our ethnicities may be different. Our cultures may be different. But there is a bottom line. Beyond culture, beyond race, beyond gender, beyond religion, is how we treat the poor in the pit of life, by how we treat the young in the sunset of life, by how we treat the elderly in the sunset of life. Our generation must study war no more. Our generation must learn to live together. Our generation must not merely globalize technology. Our generation must globalize drinkable water, a plan to cure AIDS. Our generation must globalize access to capital, industry, technology, workers' rights, women's rights, children's rights, environmental security. Our generation can make the world better. This world is our burden. This world is our burden. Upon our shoulders will usher in a new generation and make our generation a worthy generation. Thank you very much. Up on your feet, up on your feet, on your feet, on your feet. You guys act too quiet for me. That's something we used to do this at home many years ago after Dr. King was killed. I want you guys to go through this little rally with me. He was killed then. There was always this despair. Dr. King killed in April. Robert Kennedy killed in June. The sense that we were lost and did not know what to do nor where to go. When he was killed, we were on our way to a place called Resurrection City, a little makeshift city in the capital in Washington, to put focus on the poor people's campaign, those who malnourished and have health care and have health insurance and the like. So I was asked to be mayor of that city. And so one morning, it was raining and someone had died. And I got on the back of a truck and they were looking up to me for leadership. I had no money to give them. I had no fame to give them. I had no ticket to get them to go back home on the bus, as the case may have been. And I remember a book I'd read some years ago called Jesus and the Disinherited, that when our backs, our backs are against the wall, when our backs are against the wall, and will reduce to our irreducible essence. We still matter. We're somebody. Now, someone said that I'm repeat, and you say I am. Like you say I am. Louder, I am. Somebody. Respect me. Protect me. Never neglect me. I am somebody. Stop the violence. Save the children. Stop the violence. Save the children. Down with dope. Up with hope. Down with dope. Up with hope. Study war. No more. Study war. No more. Study war. No more. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive. Let me hear you scream. Well, I'll try to take, Hey, press. So, let me ask a question or two or three, then we have another meeting today and on back to Chicago tonight. But I have enjoyed this mission in this region of the world and to see how the world is growing and getting better. It was not long ago that we were protesting an unjust, unnecessary war in Vietnam. Not long ago that we were bombing Japan, that we were at war. Here we are today as trading partners and not warring adversaries. And that's the right direction. See, today we are trading partners, not warring adversaries. We will never bomb each other again. We will build and grow together, not bomb and destroy. We will never declare war on each other again. That's your generation's challenge. Question or two. Yes, sir.
Reverend Jackson, in your experience with Dr. Martin Luther King, what do you think were the essential skills that he had that made him such a good leader and such a good motivator in a cause that was toiling and took so much despair?
One, he had a condition, a predicament he had to address. All of us find in our lifetime some barrier that should come down. It's really about time and effort. For him, that barrier were walls based upon race, racial segregation and racial indignity, and that became his mission, tear down that wall. For some others, that wall may be gender discrimination, or it may be religious discrimination, or it may be economic exploitation, or it may be colonialism. But there are these walls in our lives, and we must use our resources to bring those walls down. And so he was in Montgomery, Alabama. Rosa Parks was arrested. He had the choice to dismiss it because he had a car. He didn't have to worry about a woman riding a bus. He chose to engage in that struggle because dignity transcended his own personal options. You follow me? But when the opportunity to serve knocked on his door, he was prepared. He was finishing up his PhD. I repeat again, he finished high school at 15, college at 19, seminary at 22, a PhD at 26. So he was prepared to serve.